since I'm a manager, I manage a team of executives, and I've had this problem with me, like of trusting and delegating, and I'm like, I'll always give them the most inconsequential task, while I would do the consequential tasks that matter. But lately, yeah, I mean, I just have to. You just have to trust. You just have to let go, and you just have to ask for help as well, because sometimes I'm be struggling myself as well. So yeah, it's truly an art, truly an art of learning, trusting, and just letting go. And I absolutely agree with you, Amber. Like ever since I've started doing that, since I've started letting go, my relationship with my executives, my colleagues have become more and more profound, more and more substantial. So yeah.
Exactly. And it's like, it's also said a lot of that in there's a book called Dou The Jing. And it's kind of like a book, from the old tradition of the Tao to there's a lot of instructions there for leaders. And it's very beautiful to read that and understand how there's such a beautiful, more flowy way to lead people. Now we are living in a very patriarchal kind of society that just have power, money, ego, all, and then like all the things that we grow up with is like work hard, get it, da, 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 da. And then when you are so in that drive to get into the peak of the mountain that you set for yourself and all your goals, you are so driven that if you have a team, sometimes you forget that there's like, okay, you can be the manager of this team, but you're not going to the mountain alone. Like you can't climb the Everest or, like on your own. Maybe you can, but you know what I mean? Especially when there's a support behind you, it's a bit silly to just go for it with ignoring the fact that they can actually do things. So the more you actually trust and surrender into that group, into that team that you have, the more that they would actually get that spark of like, I want to get up there as well, and I want to do this work as well. So sometimes we think that through control, we gain, success or getting into the goals or getting to that level or whatever. But sometimes, not sometimes, I think the best times, is that if we actually let go and allow the others to do. It's the same like with kids. I don't have kids anymore, but you can be a full bubble wrap parent and you can just constantly protect your kid, and constantly. But if you take a step back, you would see that actually the kid can do it by itself. And then that is so empowering for the kid, that is so special because the kid is like, I did it on my own, So it's the same. It's that if you're the authority, you're actually going to gain so much more respect and so much more that your team would want to, it's not like they would be like, oh, I'm on the clock. So, I'm just doing the boring stuff. So I might as well just sit here and like be on my phone, or do something like that rather than they get the drive because they get responsibility, So yeah, I think it's very
And I
important.
guess not just in a team, like that could be applied to just life in general. You as a person, you're trying to climb this mountain, which is life, and you have this team around you, which is your friends and family. So like it could be applied in to life as well in general, right?
Exactly. And the team is not just, friends and family, it's actually like
Yep.
humanity, animals, it
On a
can be
bigger
even
level, yeah.
on a bigger level, if we all worked together,
Yeah. It's one
the whole world
consciousness.
Yeah,
worked
I mean,
together.
the entire, if
to
all countries, entire world, everyone works together, human beings can, it's just so much potential. And I absolutely agree with it. That's where growth happened for me when my manager trusted me. And I hope, yeah, I can provide the same thing. Parmeet does that with me as well. Like between us, the synergy is amazing. He trusts with me with things, and I trust him with things as well. So yeah, that's where growth happens. So absolutely
Yeah, and
amazing.
I think it's absolutely necessary as well. I'm curious to know what attracted you to Vipassana because I feel like from what you mentioned, that was sort of the where the scales changed and breakthrough happened for you?
Yeah, it's kind of strange because I'm from Israel, and in Israel it's quite a known thing. Like it's not like it's a known thing that, like, every second person goes, but we know that this thing exists. So we know that there's this place up near the Sea of Galilee, and you go there for 10 days and you shut up and you meditate,
Okay. So you've
so
known this
we
since like you were a kid, or?
yeah, like it's kind of like in the language as well. So like for instance, if you're, quiet or something and someone is talking, it's like, what, are you on a Vipassana? So it's kind of in a bit in the slang as well. And then I remember that when I was a teenager, so when I was 16, it was when I was like, I just was called to go there. And I just wanted to go. And I told my parents, I think that at the time we didn't even have personal like laptops, or like I think we had like a computer, like a PC computer in the house or something. And I remember that maybe I did have my own that I shared with my sister, but I remember that I looked it up on the internet, and that I told my parents that I want to go. And they said, oh no, you're 16, like your mind is too soft, like no, like it's not right, you're not like yet stable, like because as a teenager you're not very stable, you're very soft in your, you're trying to figure out life, we're all trying to figure out life, but it's especially when you're a teenager. So um, so when I was 16 and they said that, and they said no, 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 etc. Basically, and this is something I really like to share, and I share that on every retreat, is that basically they didn't know, but actually in at least in the Goenka style of Vipassana, they do have a 1 day Anapana, which is the preparation technique for Vipassana for teenagers up to 18 or 17. Um, and it's I think that for me, because I was defined what they call ADD, or I think they call it ADD or ADHD or something like that. So I think that I could have gained so much from it just from learning Anapana, because Anapana Sati, which basically means Anapana is breathing, Sati is mindfulness. So you're learning to observe the air that comes in and out of your nostrils naturally without changing it. So if I'll now tell both of you or anyone that listen, or even to myself, to just observe the nostrils, we're going to change the air naturally. We just tend to do
Yeah.
that. But just allowing every effort to relax and just observe the natural happenings. And that acts as two important tools. One of them is basically to sharpen the mind. So you would see that you would do that, and for maybe 10 seconds it will work, and then you will have a thought, or you will start feeling drowsy. And one of these will happen, but then coming back every time from wherever the mind is going into that area, start to sharpen the mind, which for someone that is like constantly thinking, or constantly want to do things and can't concentrate, as they say in the conventional schooling and whatever, then that really helps. The other part of it, which is magical and helped me in life as well, is to start to observe the reality as it is. So that is a very, very important part, because we are observing the breath no matter what it is. It can be shallow, it can be soft, it can be deep. We can't just tell the breath, oh, I actually want you to breathe from the right nostril right now, and you're breathing through the left. So we are usually observing the reality through our filters, while in this way, we start to observe the reality in a very, very subtle way and as it is. And that acts as almost like a laboratory and a tool to teach us how to do that in daily life. But going back to your question, so that happened when I was 16. And then I kind of said, oh, maybe I'll just do it when I go to India, because I knew that I would want to go to India. And when I was in India, I felt like I didn't know that there are centers all around the world. I didn't know how it works. And I kind of was looking for teachers, and it didn't happen because you might know, but in India there's like an influx of, yoga and
Yeah,
meditation and
yeah,
everything,
yeah.
and it's like kind of
Spiritual
like,
holy land, the mother of spirituality,
yeah.
India.
Yeah, so it was so confusing, and I was there for 3 months. I was traveling around the world for a year, and I was there for 3 months, and I couldn't quite find the place that I was what I wanted. So I kind of let it go, and then life happened, and then I was 20, almost turning 26. So that's 10 years after that 16 me that wanted to go to Vipassana. And I was living in Bali and I was traveling a lot. And my friend was just leaving to Malaysia to do a Vipassana, to do a course. And I told her, oh my God, I actually wanted to do it 10 years ago. It's coming to 10 years. It's time to do it. So come back, tell me how it was, and I'll go. And then yeah, she came back and she told me it was life changing, and she didn't tell me too much though. She just told me it was life changing and shared a bit of her experience. And then I just said, okay, I just booked it. I was actually on a waiting list, so I wasn't sure I'm going to go until about, I think, 2 weeks before. And then I went there, and I was, yeah, I was just mind blown. I came to that to Vipassana without knowing even a single thing. I just knew about silence and I knew about meditation, but I didn't know one thing. I didn't know who was Goenka. I didn't know how everything works. Like I literally came with not knowing at all what to expect and just an open mind and open
I
heart.
think that's the best way to go about it. If you feed yourself with so much information, then your mind already tries to draw these boundaries and limitations around to create some sort of comfort and certainty, which is what basically the mind does. Uh,
Exactly.
yeah, but it's beautiful. I would recommend if this is something that you feel the calling for it, it's an incredible experience. It does require commitment for sure. Uh, I went for Vipassana as well. Unfortunately, I couldn't finish it. I found yours, the one I did with you, because I feel like that was sort of maybe a more relaxed, would you say, version or a hybrid version, in pair with
Yeah, I
other
would
things.
say more feminine, nurturing,
Don't say
supportive.
that. I was the only guy there. Yeah.
No, feminine, no, not feminine. So feminine and masculine is not male and woman, like
Ah,
female and
okay.
male,
That
yeah.
energy.
Feminine, yeah. So if you go into most of the Buddhist teachings or Zen teachings or even yoga teachings until the recent couple of tens of years, a couple of centuries, it was very like male taught. So it was very patriarchal. Yeah. So there's a very ancient era that was, we lived in a matriarchy actually. And there's actually, I saw a beautiful video about it that shows areas in India actually that where it was like archaeologists found matriarchy cities and that they were hygiene and there was um, no sites of like violence like within what they were using and stuff like that. It was very like harmonious and beautiful. So there was a matriarchy, then it turned into a patriarchy. So the time of the Buddha or Jesus or like all these like significant figures within our history are male. So the way that things were taught, and again, remind you that most women went to, they were having babies and raising kids and being in the kitchen or stuff like that in more kind of traditional
Traditional, yeah.
way. So there were still female that were going to learn these techniques and stuff like that, but it was taught by male. So the whole system is very patriarchal. So if you look at like Goenka system, for instance, it's like 10 hours a day. It's like, very, very strict, very, it's very also if you, this is a little criticism that I do have about the system with Goenka is if you go to the teacher and they're lovely people, but they're not actually considered teachers. They're considered assistant teachers. So the teacher is Goenka and he passed away. Now, first of all, times are changing. So people need different things. He's still very relevant and that's very good on him. But these assistant teachers, most likely, if you're going to tell them, if you're going to ask them a question, they're going to tell you probably something like, come back to your breath. And that is not an answer that is looking at that person in front of you, knowing, like, because before the retreat, we did a one-on-one call that I wanted to hear, where are you coming from? What are your traumas? What are your injuries? What happened in your life? So then if something come up for you and you have a question, even the smallest question, or you need to come to me, I know who you are. I'm not just starting to learn who you are. And then when that person come to you, you need to see the person, not yourself. You need to see the person, not the technique. You need to see the person, what they're going through, and think, how do I answer their question? Some people need validation. Some people go through experiences. Now, because it's such a strict kind of system, they're like, if you're experiencing this experience, that is no, that is
Yeah.
that experience is not accepted, because you can't have, let's say, visions or hear things or feel like other than sensations. It's just sensations and that's it. So if anything else happens, and things can happen when we're working with our emotional body, things can happen, then that is very narrow minded. Yeah, so there's a lot of things within the system that is very patriarchal and very strict and not motherly like. Yeah, so when I say feminine is more like, what I'm trying to bring is that mothery like nurturing approach. Have a smaller group, know everyone, look after everyone, make sure I see everyone, I smile at them, they know they can talk to me, like just a nurturing way to go through this experience. Yeah.
Thank you for that clarity. And everybody, male or female, does have that feminine and masculine side to them, right? We have to nurture both. And with what you said about Goenka, I think I agree completely. It's sort of delivered in a way that it's for the masses. It's not individualized in that manner. So the technique in that sense is for the masses. Nevertheless, very helpful. Uh,
Yes, yeah. And some people, like for me it was, life changing. So I'm not going to criticize that, like for some people it's great, but some people, they need a different
Different
approach.
approach,
We're
yeah.
different, we're different. So when I was growing up, like I needed a certain way to learn, that is not conventional. So then they said, you can't concentrate, you're ADD, you might need Ritalin or whatever. Luckily for me, my neurologist said, you can use it, but you don't have to. And that sent me to work hard. So I'm grateful for her, because she didn't just say, take the medicine. She said, it's upon you. And when you hear that as an ambitious kid, you're like, okay, I'm going to go to work.
And that's what a lot of people do. But like you said, there's no single practice in this world that's for everyone. Not just practice, even tangible things or intangible things. Nothing is for everyone. So mindfulness, I would say, is important. Vipassana is just another technique, right? So there's several techniques of mindfulness. But would you say mindfulness is like everybody should have it as a part of their life because we have a mind? So essentially.
Yeah, I think that basically, um, so basically Vipassana was what the Buddha was teaching in order to learn to get out of suffering. Even within Vipassana, there are three techniques. So there's Anapana that I described before, there's Vipassana, and there's Metta Bhavana. Metta Bhavana is a love and kindness meditation. So these are already three super beneficial techniques.